What's going on, everybody? This is the Live a Cool Story podcast brought to you by Story Collective. My name's Tommy. Story Collective is a nonprofit organization dedicated to using story to impact the lives of others. Super excited about this podcast because a lot of the topics that we touch on really embody what Story Collective is about. So I hope you enjoy the podcast. Seth, what's going on, man?
Dude, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the podcast. I'm really excited about this one. Seth is a really good buddy of mine. He's actually my life coach.
Oh.
I'd be nowhere without Seth.
Easy. You'd be somewhere.
Somewhere.
You'd be somewhere.
That's true. All roads lead to somewhere. Dr. Seuss or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But Seth, really good, awesome guy, good buddy of mine. He's a real estate agent here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And he's just got a really awesome, unique story. And he's not just a real estate agent, but he really invests into people's lives. So I'm really excited to talk to him today. And I'll just let you give a short introduction of yourself.
Yeah. So, I live here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, the most beautiful spot in the U.S., I believe.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Yep. Married.
Don't say that too loud. People will come from California.
Right. But we've all been moving this way.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we've been married for 9 years now. This year's 9 years, and we met at a small little Bible school in Oregon about 10 years ago. We have two beautiful kids, Ren, who's 4 years old, our daughter, and then our son, Louie. We call him King Louie.
King Louie.
Yeah. Either King Louie or Lou Dog Millionaire.
Lou Dog Millionaire, I like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he's 1.5, but they are so much fun. I co-own a real estate company. Been doing that for 1.5 years now, as in our company. Wow. But I've been in real estate for over 6 years. But my business partner, Levi, and I, we co-own Louder Real Estate here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho with Keller Williams. And that's like in the last little bit. I know, we might jump into that. I didn't grow up here. I grew up as a missionary kid. My parents worked for a nonprofit organization in the Philippines. So I was born and raised in the Philippines.
Cool, man. Well, let's talk about that for a little bit. You don't hear that every day. So you were born in the Philippines then, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I was born.
Dive into that. Tell us more about that.
I was born in St. Luke's Hospital in Quezon City, which is in Manila.
Okay.
In the Philippines. But I was born there, and my parents have been working for this nonprofit. My dad was the director for this nonprofit organization. He worked for the blind in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So he actually helped blind students and blind people kind of get through school, and he helped translate the Bible into Braille.
So cool.
And over about 1,000 different dialects throughout the country too.
Wow. And is your dad blind?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad has nothing to do with blindness.
His
or
no history.
Doctor
his parents weren't blind or anything.
No. Long story short, they moved to the Philippines believing they were supposed to be in the Philippines for work, for mission work and things like that. And he volunteered with this startup nonprofit organization that basically got handed to him to lead it. And
that's what you get for volunteering.
Yeah, and then then in 25 years, he built this massive nonprofit organization that's fully run by the local Filipinos.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to kind of see that. But yeah, he did in 25 years that is now fully run locally, and no American Tire or anything like that. So,
nice.
And there's like 3 main big offices throughout the country.
Yeah.
And all Filipino staff and continue helping the blind in the Philippines.
That's so cool, because you hear about the Bible being translated all the time, but you rarely hear about it being translated in Braille, let alone different dialects in Braille.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the crazy thing about, so with Braille, with translate, bringing it to Braille, the Bible, our Bible we hold in one hand, right? The Braille Bible is stacks this tall.
Really?
About probably 4 or 6 books of stack this tall. That's the Bible.
Wow.
In Braille.
That's crazy, I suppose, because it's got to be.
Yeah, it's one.
It's not like it's pages.
Yeah, it's one side, and it's it's thicker, so you have to be able to read it with your finger.
Yeah.
And so that's how big the Bible is, and so you can't actually just carry the Bible around like we do.
Yeah.
And so he actually did over time a lot where just now it's as easy as, well, even just nowadays, as easy as you can listen to the Bible. But, 20 years ago, that was harder to do. So like actually creating like MP3 players or like little radios that had the Bible audio on it and in the language over there. So that was a lot of what he did too.
Oh, cool. So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, because it wasn't as easy to carry the Bible around. Right.
Yeah.
But,
so what's the organization called, in case the listeners want to look it up?
Yeah, it's called Resources for the Blind.
Resources for the Blind in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what my parents did for 25 years.
That's your dad's story, but he's not here right now.
He's not here.
We're here to talk about you.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up in the Philippines?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in the Philippines, I look to my childhood, and my childhood was awesome.
Yeah.
Like growing up in the Philippines, I mean, you don't know any other, right? Because I was born and raised there. Just like anywhere anybody grows up, they don't know of any other place, right?
Yeah.
Because I was born and raised in the Philippines, but I loved it. I mean, it was awesome. I also grew up in a big family. So I actually have 12 siblings.
Yeah.
So I have 8 brothers and 4 sisters. So I'm one of 13.
Wow.
And I was number 10 of 13.
Okay.
So most of them are older than I, but with that, we had a blast growing up because I always had somebody to play with. I had somebody to hang out with. So it was constant chaos in our house growing up. But good chaos.
Yeah.
It's just because it was a house full. Because it was our house, but our house was actually a guest house as well that we converted into a guest house. So we had a lot of people stay in your house. So we had a full house my whole upbringing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we constantly had people. I was always surrounded by people, which maybe, really led to help me continue to be surrounded by people. I love being around people.
Yeah.
Right. And, but I had a lot of that growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. The Philippines was incredible. I love the Filipino people. They're, definitely home for me.
Yeah.
Because I lived there for my first 19 years of my life.
Okay.
Until, after graduating high school, then taking off and just moving to the U.S. and finding work.
Yeah.
And starting to live life on my own.
Yeah. So, man, I mean, obviously the Philippines is like way different than here.
Yeah.
And so you said 19 until you're 19?
Yeah, I was 19 when I left.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk about that like transitionary time from going from a culture that was probably way different and just environment that was way different to America.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, everybody will experience culture shock, right?
Yeah.
Like I would say like every once in a while, so I'm 32 now. Well, I'll be 33 in a couple weeks, but 32 now. But everybody will experience culture shock, right? Going to another culture. So yeah, of course, for me, my first time to the U.S., I was 14 years old. Okay. And so everything that I have known of the U.S. was American movies. I mean, that's just what I knew of America. And also people visiting from the U.S. I got to like meet people that came from the U.S. But other than that, I didn't have much of what America was about. But so yeah, like my transition to the U.S., I mean, I honestly think my transition went really well, where I know a lot of like even like my own friends and people I knew transition was harder. But yeah, I mean, there's always small little things and, cultural things and even like pop cultural things and church things and whatever, like they're so different from my upbringing. It's just constant. I even remember my first time, so when I moved to the US, this is funny because I grew up with pesos, so they have pesos currency in the Philippines, and so I never messed with dollars or anything, right? So I remember like my first time moving to the US, I went to a gas station and I was buying something. I had a bunch of, coins, quarters, dimes, nickels, whatever. And I grabbed all these coins to buy something. I put it on the counter, and I remember looking at the coins, and I actually didn't know what was what. I didn't know it was a quarter. I didn't know it was a dime. I just didn't even know. Like I don't know how much I have. Yeah. And so I remember looking at my coins and looking at the cashier, and I asked her, I was like, "Hey, I actually don't know how to read these coins. Can you see how much I need to buy this drink?"
Wow. Hopefully she was honest.
Yeah. Well, I think she was. But even like things like that, I had to like start learning how to actually like read back then, coins and just currency in general, and just being transitioning over in currency. But I don't know why I thought of that memory, but that's pretty funny. One thing that comes up. Yeah. transitioning.
Yeah. So what do you think it was about your experience or just your personality that made that transition a little bit easier for, say, somebody that really experienced culture shock?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I even think of myself, like I grew up in America, but I've been on many missions overseas, and every time I come back, I'm kind of like, kind of depressed just because of how America is versus like how Africa is, and I experienced that culture shock there. So like, yeah, what was it about your experience or yourself that kind of made that transition a little bit smoother?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think the first thing that comes to my mind is, what's really important to me is my faith.
Yeah.
And so I remember, when I left the Philippines and graduated, I just knew as I graduated high school that I just knew that I had to get right with the Lord before I made big decisions in life. So I had to like get right with the Lord of like, I wanted to get to know God more personally than just knowing him through my parents or even just at home, if that makes sense. And so what was important to me is actually going to a Bible school where I knew I was going to just go in depth of learning who Jesus was and my relationship was. And I don't know, I feel like that was a key part of my, me moving to the US, being in that. Yes, it was like a bubble, but it was like learning my relationship with God before I went to go make big decisions in life.
Yeah.
And just like being into the, new culture or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that actually helped with my transition. Was probably one of the biggest key parts.
Yeah, rather than like going straight into like getting your real estate license or something like that.
Or going to college or anything like that. Like most of my friends went to college, right? And there's nothing wrong about that. I just knew that I had to get something right in my heart before I would go make some big decisions in life.
Yeah.
And so that was important to me. And so I was there for 4 years at that Bible school. And I felt like that was like a foundational work for how I went about life.
Yeah.
Right? And how I saw people no matter where they're at, right? And how I saw cultures and how I saw anything, right?
Yeah. Totally.
And then, I mean, I would say like secondly, just maybe my personality too, right? So I love being in the moment, and I love like just being where I'm at. And it's harder for me to connect with people away from me.
Yeah.
And it's easier for me to connect with people in front of me.
Yeah.
So I think that's just part of my personality. So so even just with that, so it doesn't matter where I'm at, I can just, I'll choose to connect in front of me.
Yeah.
Right? So I forget about,
yeah.
which, it might be good, but also might be bad too, because I'll forget to connect with people in the past and or that are farther away from me. But I think that probably played a key part in just the transitioning too.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people struggle. I think a lot of people actually find it easier to connect with people they're away from with social media and everything. Because of social media, you can connect with people all over the world and it's like easier, but connecting with somebody in front of you is more difficult.
Yeah.
So what's your secret? How do you do it?
Man, I don't even know what my secret is. I don't know. I think maybe like a part of it is I've had people show that to me. And, I think when you have people in your life that have really connected to you in the moment, it makes an impact to you.
Yeah.
And so for me, there's been enough people in my life where they made such a connection in a way of like really looking and caring about what I have to say. And also I would, my family too, like just growing up in a big family, there's a lot of like, people have different views about big families. I love my family growing up. Yes, it's like, with a bigger family, it's harder to connect, but I still feel like we still connected in a way.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
And still made some intentional time to connect. And so, I don't know. I don't know what the secret is besides just continue to learn. And it's actually, I do love connecting with people, but it does take more and more discipline and more skill set to truly connect with people.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I would say maybe if there's one secret, is practicing to stay in curiosity.
Yeah.
So I've learned that, if I have a thought about what you're going to think about and how I'm going to say something, I've actually learned that I'm now prejudging the way that you're going to respond.
Oh.
And I'm actually judging the way that you're going to respond without even knowing how you're going to respond.
Yeah.
And I have found that it's like, wow, that's awful for me to think that way. Right. And so why not change the perspective of now coming with curiosity, no matter how you're going to respond, because I have no idea. Right. I don't know how you're going to respond, but I want to come with curiosity. So now I come with more questions.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had mentors in my life that always come with curiosity and have come with questions.
Yep.
And that I believe goes way farther in conversation and growth and just relationship.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's the little bit of a key or secret sauce in there, where just learning to always come from curiosity no matter who you're talking to.
Yep.
And I think that takes work. It's not an overnight, not all of a sudden you're more curious than being judgmental.
Yeah. It's definitely a conscious thing, because we want to talk.
Yeah.
We want to talk about ourselves, and we want to put our opinions out there. And I think it's just like learning to love to listen too.
Yeah.
Like just really enjoy listening to people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard to do. It's something that not everybody likes to do, because we like to insert our opinion but coming with questions, because it's actually interesting. Like in a conversation, the person that's asking the most questions is actually in control of the conversation. Yeah. Because you can control where not that that's our goal, but it's like the questions are what leads the conversation. Yeah. So. Yeah,
and I think like as I've learned to communicate really well, so I feel like I've been on this journey for the last few years to really communicate well, because I feel like my upbringing, just my story, part of my story is, speaking when I was a child was actually really hard.
Okay.
And so what I mean by that is, I went to speech therapists, and I have memories of like learning how to like say different words.
Okay.
I would say nicknames for different things, because I would choose not to say the names of things.
Yeah.
And so, even just growing up with that thought, I would always think that I'm not a great communicator, right? And so as an adult, I've chose to like actually learn skill sets and learn how to communicate really well. And in that journey, I have found that actually listening really well is communicating really well too.
Yeah.
And not just like verbally communicating, but just learning how to ask questions and then choose to listen really well.
Yeah.
Is actually like more powerful than just communicating.
Yeah.
In like conversation, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to take a little bit of a step back into your childhood.
Bring it on.
And just like maybe ask some kind of ignorant questions about growing up in the Philippines. Like, did you guys have, you said you had movies, but like, I guess what amenities that we are used to growing up here in America did you not have there?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. So I grew up like middle class in the Philippines. So meaning like it's easy to think that like growing up in the Philippines, you're in the provinces, you're in a tribe or in the mountains or something. But I grew up in Manila, which is
capital, right?
Yeah, it's capital. It's the capital city of the Philippines, and Manila alone is about. You can Google. I think it's like 18 or 19 million people.
Wow.
In Manila.
Yeah.
So it's massive. It's so dense. It's tons of people, it's a big city.
Yeah.
And the Philippines has become, since World War II, has become very westernized. So like, yes, we still get Western culture. Even in the Philippines, when you're driving in the Philippines, you actually will read a lot of English while you're driving.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is most stuff is actually written in English.
Yeah.
And that's how westernized it has become.
Okay.
And so growing up, I wasn't too far from like American culture, if that makes sense, because we still are so influenced about the Western culture, right? About American culture. But still at the same time, you're in a different culture. Yeah. So like, different things like public transportation, right? Is very different than Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Yeah. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, you're either in your own car, or you're on your own bike, or you're on your own motorcycle.
There hardly is public transportation.
There's like a city bus here in Coeur d'Alene. And there's Ubers, but there's not even that much Ubers, right? But in the Philippines, you go anywhere and everywhere, mostly on, public transportation.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I always tell this story. When I was a kid, like in 5th grade, it's crazy to think about now, but when I was like in 5th grade, I had a pet python. So in order to feed my pet python growing up, I would walk out of our neighborhood, because we were in a gated neighborhood. So that's how I grew up, right? In a gated neighborhood. And I would get on a tricycle, which is a motorcycle with a sidecar. So I would ride a tricycle ride.
That's what you guys called it, those tricycles?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they call them tricycles. And so I would ride on a tricycle to a jeepney stop, which a jeepney is like an extended Jeep, almost like a bus, right? And that's another form of public transportation. But I would need to ride that in order to get to the jeepney stop. And then I would get on the jeepney to go to the markets. And so then I would get to the market, then I would walk into the market, like deep into the market to find, baby chicks for my pet python. And I would go and I would find, I would buy some baby chicks. And then I would get them, and then I would come back out of the market. I'd get back on the jeepney ride to get back to the tricycle stop, to get on the tricycles, to get back into, close to where our neighborhood is. And then I'd walk, a mile home from there.
Wow, as a fifth grader.
Yeah, as a fifth grader. So looking back, it's like, whoa, that was crazy, like as a young child traveling throughout Manila on public transportation. But it was also just, I don't know, it's like everybody did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me, it's like other kids did it, right?
Yeah.
And
did it feel pretty safe?
I don't know if I knew what safe or not safe was.
Right. Which maybe was for the best.
Yeah, like I didn't know like
otherwise
if it
your
wasn't,
python would have starved.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was safe or not safe.
Yeah.
It's just the way of life was public transportation.
Yeah.
And you got everywhere and anywhere with public, because you have tricycles, you have jeepneys, you have buses, you have the train, you have subways, you even have pedicabs. I think that's what they're called, pedicabs. Okay. So they're bikes with sidecars.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of those too. And taxis are everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all kinds of, all forms of public transportation.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember what the question was.
What was your python's name?
Oh. I can't even remember what I don't know. I don't remember what my python's name was.
What were the names of the baby chicks that you fed to your python?
Oh man. I don't think I named them either, because you only saw them for a little bit and they were gone.
I'm just very fascinated at this python. How many did it eat? What was breakfast?
Yeah. Well, so pythons eat once a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they eat once a month. So I first started out with baby mice.
Okay.
And then as it grew, I would feed it baby chicks.
Okay, once a month. Okay, that's not. I was gonna say that'd be pretty expensive.
Yeah, no, it's once a month, and then it would eat 4 baby chicks. Some people think that's
it's so
cruel,
horrible, but it's not. I mean, it's
some people think it's cruel when I tell that, but it's like, hey, I'm growing up in the tropics.
It's coming from an American perspective because we think of these little peeps, cute little chicks. But
I mean, they were cute, but it's how else do you think pythons eat?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't feed it the chicks, it was going to eat you in your sleep.
Yeah. I mean, it was a 6-foot python.
Oh
so
my
it was
gosh.
it was a nice sized python.
That's crazy. Okay. So I am just so fascinated about this python. I don't know why. Are pythons the ones that'll squeeze you to death?
I mean, yeah,
okay.
But a 6-foot python's not going to do it because it can't eat you.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, I mean, so he has no motivation to do that too.
Well, yeah. I mean, they can squeeze you. Like it would squeeze my arm, but it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
You can just start unwrapping it, and it's easy, right?
Just start petting its tummy and relaxes.
It's more of any kind of other big pythons that are if they're this fat, then that size can eat you.
Wow.
But that's far in between.
Yeah. Did you ever see any of those when you were out and about?
I've carried one, but more this fat.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Those will eat deer, dog, that kind of stuff.
Oh, so crazy.
But
yeah. So man, I mean, the Philippines is pretty wild. What kind of stuff did you guys do for fun there? Obviously, probably the ocean a lot.
Yeah, we went to. I would say there's 2 things we did for fun a lot, and that was going to the ocean.
Yeah.
Going to, because the Philippines is made up of over 7,000 islands.
Okay.
So
wow.
It's so many islands in the Philippines, and so even being able to go to a different island, that was always super fun. But yeah, we'd always go to the beach, different beaches because you can choose. There's so much coastlines in the Philippines because of all the islands.
Yeah.
That was one, and then we would do an annual trip to the mountains.
Okay.
Cool. Where you get this sense of coolness because Philippines is tropical. You're right on the equator.
Yeah.
So you're there's 2 seasons that we always called it growing up. There's hot season and there's hotter season. That's how it was. You're always in the 80 degrees to 90 degrees year round with 100% humidity.
Yeah.
So going to the mountains. Obviously, I think it was my parents' idea because they wanted to find something cooler.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would wear a sweater in the mountains.
Yeah.
It would never snow. It was never a thing to ever snow in the Philippines, but you just get cooler temperatures.
Yeah.
So that was like the two fun things that we did growing
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
That's so rad.
Yeah.
That's
As a
super
family.
fun.
But
Okay, so let's bounce back to America now.
Okay.
You going to college? So what was the college called, and is it still a college?
yeah, it's called Ecola Bible School.
Okay.
Yeah. Not necessarily college because it wasn't. There's some small credits that you can transfer.
Yeah, I get that.
But it was more of a like a foundational biblical Bible school for those who want to learn about the Bible and want to learn who God is. Like, you have one book that you study when you're there, and it's the Bible.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's on Cannon Beach, right?
Yep, in Cannon Beach, Oregon. And that was the one Bible you get to study, and you go through every book of the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that was straight from the Philippines to Cannon Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so straight, yes, but I mean, in order to pay for it, I went commercial fishing in Alaska.
Ah, that's right.
So I jumped on a commercial fishing boat. I did that for a bit every summer for a bit, and that paid for my schooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet there's some stories there too.
Yeah. I mean, I did that for 6 years, commercial fishing. So 6 summers.
Yeah.
Commercial fish. But yeah, you're out in the middle, you're out in the ocean, not in the middle of the ocean because you're close to land, but you're catching fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. For about 2 to 3 months in the summertime. But that paid, so I went straight there. That paid for Bible school, so that I showed up at Bible school with a check. And
nice.
Like, here's my year worth of school.
Yeah, well, that's just a testament to your work ethic. I mean, commercial fishing is insane, and then paying for school up front, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, yeah. So I did that. I did school for 2 years because it's just a 2-year program, and then I was on staff for 2 years after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rad.
Yeah.
Rad. Okay, and then met a sweet
I met my
young
wife.
lady.
Yeah, met my wife Joelle. The years that I was on staff, and then we got married after my 2 years on staff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then so Joelle's now in the picture. How did we get to Coeur d'Alene?
Yeah, so we moved. So Joelle's from this area.
Okay.
She grew up just south from Coeur d'Alene, in Plummer. And when we got married the summer of 2014, Joelle thought of this crazy idea that I said no to a couple times. And that was to have this extended honeymoon in the Philippines, actually. And so her idea was to like go on our honeymoon and live there for 4 months. And yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
4 months for a honeymoon. I kept saying no just because logistically I'm like, hey, financially it's not gonna make sense, The more and more I looked into it, I realized, hey, actually if we save up this much money, we can do it. And we like lived on like the smallest budget, And so when we got married in June 2014, I served tables after working at the Bible school, and I just raked it in with tips.
Yeah.
It was a summertime in Cannon Beach.
Perfect.
All the tourists are coming in, and I just the restaurant I worked in, it's called Local Grill and Scoop.
Okay.
And I just remember I was so motivated of making tips and just making the money so it would pay for our honeymoon, right? And so I remember there's so many nights where other servers were tired or didn't want to take a table shift. And I was always on it. I'm like, hey, I'll take this table. Oh, I'll take this table. And I ended up like taking the most tables like every night.
Yeah.
And I'll come home with all this cash of tips,
Yeah.
And that actually paid for our honeymoon trip.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then we went to the Philippines. I think it was in September, and lived there for 4 months. And that was our honeymoon.
Nice.
And we quit our jobs. We lived off a really small budget.
Yep.
And we just lived life and learned how to live life together.
Yeah.
And
I think that's so smart and something way more couples should consider for honeymoons. And I know not
100%.
everybody can because they've got good jobs and whatever, but like if you can, take an extended honeymoon. Spend the money on the honeymoon, not the ceremony.
Yeah, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like most of our money went to the honeymoon. And we loved it because I felt like we like got to know each other in such deeper ways and like just we connected even more because in 4 months we had no agenda besides just living life together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. And in another country too.
Yeah.
Right? And then it wasn't until the very last week of our 4-month honeymoon, we did not know where we're moving to. And I remember we prayed over different cities. We prayed over like different areas of where we could move to. And Coeur d'Alene was one of them. And at the time we didn't know anybody in Coeur d'Alene. And we just felt like that's where we were supposed to move to.
Wow.
And so when we left the Philippines, we actually went straight to Coeur d'Alene, went to our parents down in Plummer, and came up to town in Coeur d'Alene, went to Vault Coffee, which is down on Sherman.
Yeah.
So this was now like almost 9 years ago. And we didn't have like no money at this time, but we bought a drip coffee to share so that we can get Wi-Fi and open up our computer. And we were looking for jobs, and we were looking for a place to rent. Because we had enough money for a place to rent for the first month. And we just believed this is where we're supposed to be. So we're moving in faith at that time. We were moving in faith and believing this is where we're supposed to be. Joel found a job. We found a place. The landlord, I shared our story with the landlord and said, hey, we just came from a 4-month honeymoon. We have enough money for the first month rent and deposit. That's it. We're both unemployed, but we're actively looking for work. I just felt like I needed to be honest, right, to the landlord. And the landlord just kind of like loved our story and our honesty. And he gave us the lease agreement. We signed and we moved in like the next day.
Wow.
And life started there. And we learned a lot about what it's like moving in faith and living by faith and living, even just learning even good but hard lessons that I'm not the provider and God's the provider. And that early on learning those lessons, I think really helped with my faith. But we've been to Coeur d'Alene since.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, okay. So we're in Coeur d'Alene now. And now so clearly you got enough money to pay rent for this place, I'm assuming. Yeah. So when did you get into real estate, and like how did that all happen? Yeah,
I got into real estate. So I knew at this time that I felt like a calling into business, into sales, and just working with people, right? Because I was in ministry, I was working at the Bible school, and I loved it. I felt like I was going to be in vocational ministry, but I felt like the Lord was calling me into some of the gifts that I feel like I had, and that was business and working with people in general. Right? And so did you always feel like you were going to start your own business? Not always, but I think like as I was in vocational ministry and as I kind of stepped, moving to Coeur d'Alene, I feel like the Lord was revealing of like the ideas and the gifts and the skill sets that I have to go start a business. And to help people, and help people in the business world, right? Because I feel like I had a lot of negative thoughts from negative influences of business owners and people in business that were of faith. And I didn't see really good examples at the time, and I wanted to kind of set a good example of what it's like to run a business and help people in business and give God all the glory. Yeah, cool, man. Absolutely. But getting into real estate, to answer your question, wasn't until about like 2.5 years after moving here. And that started with not knowing I was going to get into real estate, but that started with buying our first home. So Joel and I buying our first home after like 2 years. About 2 years moving here. And it was through the process of buying our home. Our realtors were incredible. Husband and wife, Charlie and Candy Toronto. They were incredible. They were awesome people. And just through that process, I remember closing on our home and laying in bed, maybe the first night or the second night, but I remember not being able to sleep because of the thought of, I want to be able to do what our realtors just did. And like help people go buy homes and sell their homes and make such a process that was smooth and that have people trust me to help them out with the biggest investment of their life. And be part of people's stories like that. And that's really cool. That's what led to the decision of like, I think I want to get into real estate because I want to help people make better choices for their life. Right? And help people think better for themselves. And help people make the biggest investments in their life. And I like what you said. I like your mentality going into it. It's you're helping people buy a home, not selling homes. I think it's easy to kind of get stuck on just selling. But when you can actually come from help, that you're truly are helping people. Like my job is not to sell you a home. My job is actually help you figure out what kind of home you're looking for and help you find that home.
Yeah.
Right.
And you do that by listening, asking the right questions,
Totally.
all the stuff that we've been talking about.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that started my journey of getting into real estate. And I got into real estate. So let me think here. That was beginning of 2017. It was like February and March 2017 is when I got into real estate.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Well, now let's talk about Ladder now. So Ladder is your real estate firm. Is that the right
real estate group, real estate company.
Okay. It's not a lawyer firm. I don't know why I said firm.
No.
So how many years were you in real estate until you started Ladder? And then let's go into that whole journey too.
Yeah, so I was in real estate for 5 years prior to starting Ladder.
Okay.
Yeah, so Levi and I, my business partner, we became really close friends when I got into real estate right around that time. And we actually did real estate together at that time. We actually were part of the same team at that time. And we build our businesses together. Okay. Because we had somewhat the same friend group, right? And church group and community group. And we decided to have the mentality of how could we go help each other, go do more, right? And as in go help more people. Yeah. And so we did that. We actually did that for about, I think it was like 3-ish years in my 5 years there. And then that led to somewhat of an easier decision of partnering up and going to build or start our own real estate company. Yeah. And that was the beginning of last year, so 2020. Yep. Yeah, let me think here, 2022. So January of 2022 is when we kind of like started having those conversations of what it would be like to go start our own group. Yeah. Cool.
All right, now walk us through that journey, because I think it's kind of cool. I know a little bit of the story of just like where the name Ladder came from, and so talk about where that name came from, kind of what your guys' goal is with the group, how it's different from other real estate groups, because I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah. So thank you. So Levi and I, we were in real estate, and he had left the team that we were on, and I stayed on that team, and it's a great team. I feel like I personally kind of got to the point in life where it was easier for me to kind of coast. Okay. So I have patterns in my life where I realize, and looking back in life, where the times that I've gotten too comfortable, I had to make a change in something. Yeah. Because when I'm too comfortable, it's harder for me to live by faith. Yeah. Right. It's harder for me to allow God to work in my life. It's harder for me to even trust God in things. Right. And so when there's patterns in my life, and I realize that, even like the end of my 5 years in real estate, nothing bad about it, but I got to the point of my career in real estate success. It was like, okay, I can coast if I want to. Yeah. And I realized, I'm like, I don't want to just coast. I want to actually continue to do things that strengthen my faith and strengthen my walk. Yeah. And so I remember when Levi and I started talking about that, I remember realizing that it's like, hey, I'm actually in this place now that I can coast if I want to, but I don't want to. Yeah. And going to start something with Levi was a big step of faith, because it was of the unknown. It was like, okay, what are we going to go do? Yeah. Right. But we knew we wanted to go do something. We've known that we wanted to go build something together. And so before we went to go start anything, Levi and I decided to go on this like 3-day offsite, mastermind, just us two. Nice. Rented a loft in Spokane, and we covered the walls with paper. We did. We were like mad scientists. We covered the walls of paper, and we had an agenda for like 3 days. We didn't want to just come up with the name of what we were going to do, because that's the fun and easy part. Yeah. We wanted to come up with the why of what we wanted to go do. We wanted to come up with, what's the mission? Like, what do we want to go do together? What do we want to go build together? And how are we going to go do that? And where are we going to go by doing so, right? Yeah. And what are the values that we want to bring into the company? So a lot of the work that people actually miss when they go start businesses, we wanted to like figure it out, not all just right there, but figure out a lot of it right there, and then mold it over time if needed, right? And so we came up, our first agenda was coming up with the mission of Ladder, right? And we both had our personal mission statements at that time. Okay. And so personal lives, at that time in my life, now over a couple of years ago, was to empower people to become better versions of themselves. And that was like my mission in life, was always wanting to empower people to become better at what they do, right? Yeah. And Levi's, I can't say it word by word, but it was something about influencing people to live their lives or something like that. He's going to listen to that. He's going to call me out. But we had our mission statements, and we wanted to figure out how could we combine our mission and our lives and our stories in our life to go create something. Yeah. Right? And so long story short, it kind of came down to realizing patterns in our life was always choosing to take steps forward in something of what we wanted to go become more like. So meaning like we had dreams to go do this, and we looked in patterns in our life. Anytime we said that, we actually took steps forward in becoming that person sooner than later, or being able to do that trip, or you know, a lot of us will say like, hey, someday I'm going to do that, but actually take no steps to go do it. Right. Or we realize we've learned in life that we've actually taken those steps to go to have our someday become sooner, right? Yeah. And so that molded into our mission of Ladder, and it came down to, it's like we really want to help people turn someday into today. Yeah. And that's our mission at Ladder. So no matter who it is, if it's clients, if it's our agents, whoever we work with, whatever conversations we have, we care more about what's your someday and how can we start today? Yeah. And how can we turn it into today? Yeah. And so if that's like helping you sell your home, figuring out what that someday looks like and what can we start doing today? Yeah. Right. If it's an agent, same thing, right? We care. Even like when we partner up with agents with Ladder, we go through such an intense process because I want to figure out what your someday is. I want to figure out what your someday is so we can start when we partner up to now lead this, or to create this path of like becoming starting today to become closer to your someday. Yeah, right? Yeah.
So you're even coaching your agents that are partnering with you guys. Yep.
Yeah, coaching. So Levi and I both love coaching, right? We both have the mindset and the perspective of coaching over than more than just managing or supervising or anything like that. Yeah. Like we come from more coaching. Coaching is asking better questions. Yeah. Right. Learning how to ask better questions so that. How I always say it is I choose to have people think better for themselves. Even for my clients, when I help out with people, I want to help you think better for yourself. So I'm going to ask such questions that you probably have never heard before, so that you can make a better decision for yourself. Yeah. Like I know you want that home, but ask such questions of making you realize, is that really the home that you want? Yeah. Or is it that home over there that you're not seeing, right? So, but that's our approach to real estate. And with Ladder is Levi's come up with a training called the coach approach to real estate. And we use that with our agents, we use that with our team, and we use that with our clients. Yeah. It's just the coach approach to real estate. Yeah. So we like to come from the coach approach.
Yeah. So the name Ladder, I don't think you touched on where that came from. I mean, it's kind of reflective of that mission statement, right?
Yeah. So it happened like in that end of that third, that third day retreat that we had, our mastermind. All the papers in the room were filled, and we realized, we had so many names that we wanted to use, right? Because again, that's the easy and fun part, but we just kept pushing it to the side. Nothing really clicked or nothing really made sense. And we wanted to do more of the hard work first. And it wasn't until we were tired, our brains were fried, all these, all of our thoughts on the walls. Yep. And it honestly, as silly as, we were both sitting on the couch, and Levi looked at a decorative ladder, and Levi said, "Hey, what about ladder? Yeah, just ladder." And I, in that moment, was, I said, "Dude, what about ladder? Yeah. Like, what's a ladder for?" And a ladder, without a ladder, it's actually harder for you to reach up higher, right? You can try to figure it out, but a ladder is going to be a lot simpler. Yeah. So we tied that to our mission statement of, hey, what if we chose today that without us, it's actually harder for you to turn your someday into today. Yeah. So let us be the ladder for your someday, right? Let us help you create that ladder. Yeah. And so that's the moment it clicked. It was like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, we're ladder real estate. We're helping you turn someday into today.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So it was cool in the moment. Yeah. Because it just felt like it clicked. Yeah. And there's so much more details into it. We care so much about branding. And so we did not want to brand a ladder.
Right.
Yeah, because we did not want to be confused with a construction company, right? Because we're a real estate group, and so we're branding the word ladder because that's what we care more about. But anyway, that's just a silly little thing.
Yeah, and now we see your signs all over town.
Yeah, dude, that means we're doing our job. Yeah,
it's great, super cool. So what's it like now? How many agents do you have?
Yeah, we just partnered up with another agent this week, which we're really excited about.
Nice.
So we have 6 agents with Ladder.
Okay.
So that have partnered up with Ladder.
Yeah.
So including Levi and I, and then Levi's parents, parents too. So there's about 10 of us agents, and then our awesome employees with Ladder too.
Yeah.
So our transaction coordinator, our executive assistant, that actually help the company move forward.
Yeah. So fun. And you guys, you're not only like real estate agents, but you do a lot for the community too. Constantly throwing events and parties and fun stuff.
Yeah. That was something that we added on earlier on with Ladder, is doing monthly events. So, if it's helping the community, if it's something silly and fun or whatever it is, it's just one way for us to continue to be part of the community and help the community out, and just be involved constantly, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to do once a year. It's harder to do once a month, but we wanted to make more of an impact in our community to know that we really love our community. So we're going to put on monthly events, and we invite all of our community to it.
Yeah. So. And what I like about you guys is I feel like you set those goals that make things a little bit difficult. You're like, it'd be fun to have events. We could do it, 4 times a year or something. No, let's do it every month to challenge ourselves to really make an impact in the community. And it's just great. So is there an event this month?
There is, and so we came up with the details. It's partnering with Village of Hope.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fostering nonprofit organization. And we haven't reached out to all of our community yet, but it's actually raising gift cards and things like that to donate for teenagers getting back to school, and for the foster teenagers, or even just kids. And so we're looking to actually have people donate gift cards to different stores here in town.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
So you'll probably hear from it soon.
Okay. On Instagram or what?
Probably be on Instagram, and it'll probably be you'll just hear from us. So we like to connect. We like to have conversations. So we'll have you'll hear from us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it's just at Ladder Real Estate on Instagram. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ladder Real Estate on Instagram.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to check it out.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I really love that, and I always love hearing that story because it just. You're right. I mean, when you're starting a business, it's always really tempting to do the fun things first. Like, let's come up with a name and a logo, but when you start with the hard things first, what do you want this to accomplish? Where do we want to go? How do we get there? It's building the foundation for your business, and just for how you're going to go about things.
Yeah.
And that's not just with business; that's with life too.
Yeah.
And so with that, I mean, you already touched on your mission statement. I think that was your old mission statement, though.
Yeah.
And so Levi actually helped me craft my own mission statement, and I think it's just really powerful and important for everybody to do. So it's become a big part of this podcast where we will ask the viewer, like, if you had a mission statement for your life, what would it be?
Yeah.
So why don't you dive into that?
Yeah. So I mean, I just learned early on with my business partner Levi and the importance of mission and knowing like your.
I just
why.
realized I think I said Levi and not Seth.
Oh.
When I was talking about you.
I didn't realize.
Anyways, they're basically the same person.
Basically
on that note, Levi, we're going to talk about Levi for a second.
Yeah.
I'm with Story Collective. We're hosting a training with Levi.
That's right.
On August 22nd?
Yeah.
24th? Do you know?
I remember seeing the post, but I don't remember what day it is.
Okay, it's on the 22nd and the 24th, but you can check out our Instagram at Live a Cool Story, and the details are on there. And you can sign up. It's an online training, completely free with Levi. He's going to be talking about the line of acceptability, which is just setting expectations for yourself as a person and a business owner. It's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
He's done that training multiple times now, and typically they've been packed out rooms.
Really?
Where like 40 to 50 people in that room.
Yeah, I just posted about it a few days ago, and I think we've already had like 6 people sign up. So I'm hoping to get a lot more. So I put it out to a lot of filmmakers in the area, a big group of filmmakers that I'm a part of. Across the Pacific Northwest and the nation, so
that's cool.
It's gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's with Levi, Seth's business partner and really good friend.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. Back to mission.
Back to Seth.
Yeah. Back to mission. So I mean, just learning earlier on how important mission is, right? And learning because mission is the lens that how you see life through.
Yeah.
Right. And it actually brings more clarity in how you make decisions. It's how you say yes to things and how you say no to things.
Yeah.
Right. Does it align with you? And I remember early on when I started doing some inner work about why do I do things the way I do things, right? And like, why do I show up? And I realized my mission, when I was able to craft it and put it down, it was to empower people to become better versions of themselves, is what really motivates me to get up and get up in the morning and get out of bed, right? And to show up at work and to show up even with my family too.
Yeah.
And so with that, I had to continue to empower myself to become a better version of myself, right? So always continue working on myself as well. But that has been my mission, and I wouldn't say it's not my mission anymore. I feel like, that's been for years, and it has kind of formed into, with me stepping into more leadership, it's now kind of leading into helping you identify your value and taking action on it. So and that's been like my somewhat recent mission, and it really aligns with me. Helping people to identify their value and then to go take action on it. And that motivates me because I feel like it's a lot more inner work now, right? And bringing out the greatness of somebody, and then to go take action on it, even if like people don't see it themselves. Like, I want to be able to see it and then pull that out of you, and you take action if you want to. But that's been like my recent mission statement. Is helping people identify their value.
I love that. That's really cool. And you're the perfect person to talk about this. Why don't you just talk about like why having a mission statement is so powerful and important in your life? It's been something that we've really included as a part of this podcast because I think it's a great conversation starter. And it's just really powerful when you do kind of boil yourself down into, okay, not like what do I want to be? I want to be a real estate doctor or whatever. Not what do I want to be, but who do I want to be? And it just, you're right, it gives you a lens to look at life through. So each decision you make, you're like, is this supporting my mission statement? Dive into that a little bit. Like, what's the value of having a mission statement?
So even going a little bit deeper too, it's like having a mission statement that no matter what you do in life, you can make decisions and live life to the fullest. So no matter what job you have, a lot of people will create a mission statement in what they do and how they what their work is, right? And that's common, right? A lot of people have a mission statement for the company, and it's very function focused, it's very work focused, right? But if you took the work out, what's their mission? Why do they show up? Why do they show up in their family? Why do they show up in life? And so when you can have this mission, your personal mission in life, it's how you say yes to things, it's how you say no to things, and you can make decisions better that way. And so for me, I know it's more important for me to have a personal mission statement than any kind of work mission statement, because now I can actually bring that to my work. So with clients and with agents and with people I surround myself with and the people that I help lead, if I can identify their value and go take action, I feel like work doesn't matter at that point. Because that will happen. Work is going to happen, right? So if I can do that with clients too, if I'm helping you buy a home or sell a home, but if I can help you identify your value and then to go take action, I think that is more powerful than just helping you find a home. And I think it goes longer that way.
Absolutely.
So that's that's like a little bit of why I think mission is so important. And coming up with your mission, take your job away from it. And what's your mission? What's your purpose? What's your why behind, what you believe you're here on earth for, right? And who do you want to become more like? Right? And
That's awesome. I love that. It's something that we're super passionate about, and we're actually gonna start hosting mission and vision trainings with Story
awesome.
Collective, which I'm really excited about. So if you're interested, you can get on our email list at storycollective.us, so you can find out about that when that happens. But I think it's just a super, super powerful thing that I think would really transform a lot of people's lives if we started replacing like what do we do, like function, with like why do we show up every day in life and in work. I think
when you can get so clear on mission and vision, you lead people really well, and people want to be part of that world, right? Because with lack of vision, it's biblical too, right? With lack of vision, people will perish. Meaning people will just not be part of what you're wanting to do. But when you can work on mission and you can work on vision and bring so much more clarity in it, and you share that, people want to show up. People want to be part of vision. People want to be part of it, and even help them create their vision in life too, right? And so as a leader, when you can have more clarity in that for yourself and share that with others, people will always want to be part of that, right? Because it's more, there's more influence in it, but what you're doing is setting an example of bringing vision and mission for their life.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, that's awesome, man. I think that's a killer place to end it. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Seth. I'm glad we got to hang out.
Yeah, that was fun. That was awesome. Thanks for having me.
Let's do it again.
Come on.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to today's episode. Hey, we're hosting a training with Levi Gurno, who is Seth's business partner with Ladder Real Estate. We're hosting that training on August 24th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is going to be an online event, so be sure to go to our Instagram page and hit the link in our bio to sign up, get your spot. Levi is an incredible speaker. He's going to be talking about the line of acceptability. This is a free training for creative entrepreneurs and any entrepreneur, really. He's going to be talking about setting expectations for yourself and your business. And he's just an incredible speaker and an incredible dude. You do not want to miss out on this free training. So go to the link in our bio on our Instagram page and sign up, and we hope to see you there.